Good morning, everyone. This is Rick Price from Pittsburgh Region Clean Cities. We're here today to talk with Ingevity about the DERA program and some possibilities for their dual fuel school bus project. So, Bob, you can go ahead anytime you want. We have Bob Friedman.
Okay. Hi, everybody. How are you? I'm Robert Friedman. Just want to get this set up here. Okay. I'm the managing director of Ingevity's new fuel vehicle program. That includes basically two parts of the program. That is for gasoline vehicles. We have pickup trucks and vans that run on gasoline that are part of our program. And then for this call, the platform includes our Demi NeuFuel diesel displacement platform, which we branded as the cow fart bus. That is in reference to the use of renewable natural gas, a ultra clean zero carbon fuel for the use of the vehicle. A little bit about Ingevity. We're publicly traded. We're a multi-billion-dollar market cap company. We got 1,800 employees globally. Our primary business, and we've been doing it for 40 years, is with activated carbon. Activated carbon is on every gasoline vehicle in the U.S. and growing worldwide. And what it does, it sits on top of your gasoline fuel tank, and any gasoline vapor that tries to escape from the gasoline vehicle's fuel system is attracted by the activated carbon and then redeployed back into the fuel tank. And it's relevant because that's a technology that's behind the NeuFuel solution. The same way it attracts hydrocarbons of gasoline vapor, it attracts natural gas molecules. And our activated carbon is in the middle of the natural gas fuel tank, attracting the natural gas molecules away from the inner walls, exerting pressure out to the center of the tank, and therefore transforms the pressure inside the tank to a low pressure 900 psi, as opposed to compressed natural gas, which is high pressure 3600 psi. We are low pressure. We have over 40 years of automotive experience with this. We're also a top 100 responsible company, and we're vertically integrated with the use of renewable natural gas, which makes this platform seamless for the fleet user. We have a strategic partnership with the Demi NeuFuel system. We are the NeuFuel part of it. We're the tank element of it. American CNG, which is Salt Lake based, provides the components that are related to the engine. It's pretty straightforward. We're going in right through the air tank manifold system, and we are injecting natural gas alongside on a blended basis with diesel. We'll get into that a little bit more. American CNG has over 70 years of knowledge and experience with natural gas vehicles, and the Demi diesel displacement solution has over 500,000 miles driven on it. We'll get into some customers that are using it today as well in just a bit. So what's very unusual and unique about our Demi NeuFuel school bus platform is that we probably, if not absolutely, provide the only conversion option for existing diesel school buses. And that conversion is for them to run on a blend of renewable natural gas and diesel. We're displacing a portion of the diesel and replacing it with renewable natural gas to make it a lower cost and more sustainable vehicle. It is cost effective, as I mentioned, for in-service vehicles. It not only has a low cost conversion of the vehicle itself, but because it's low pressure, it has a low cost fueling appliance. And the use of renewable natural gas brings it to a level of basically a zero carbon vehicle. without any compromise in the vehicle or the fleet logistics. When you have CNG as a comparison, CNG is running at 3,600 psi. That requires, and my background with that is probably a decade of CNG fuel dispensing experience in building and operating stations. These are very expensive pieces of equipment, and the install, it's anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million or more. And it requires, or the only way to justify it is to convert a significant number of your vehicles over to using natural gas. As you can see in this photo on this page, right in the middle between our two vehicles, our Cowfart bus and the NeuFuel transit van, sits our fueling appliance. That is a $5,000 fueling appliance that fuels two vehicles simultaneously. It's dual hose, which means it's $2,500 per vehicle. And that size appliance and that cost appliance is able to be achieved because of the low pressure of our technology. Some of the value proposition, best in class fleet economics. It's a low cost conversion, $12,500 for the bus, which includes the tank and the conversion of the bus, and then on a per bus basis, a $2,500 fueling appliance. If you compare that to the cost of an electric vehicle, which is $325,000, for one electric vehicle, you can do 26 of our retrofits. Our retrofits are for in-service vehicles, as I mentioned, and therefore you could have a dual path strategy. You can do electric vehicles for new vehicles or some new vehicles, but the question is, what do you do with your existing legacy fleet? Those vehicles are going to be on the road for the next 5 to 10 to 15 years or longer, and therefore, how do you utilize those vehicles to meet your fleet operations, your fleet operating costs, and your sustainability objectives? Our system is ideal. In terms of the fleet savings and economics, it's a 25% reduction in fuel costs because we are displacing 30 to 40% of the diesel. And if you're going from $4.50, let's say, to $1 a gallon with natural gas on a blended basis, you have the 25% reduction in fuel costs. You're going to $1 per diesel gallon equivalent for the displaced diesel, as I mentioned. That results in a typical utilization of a school bus on an annual basis of about $3,200 a year in fuel savings, and that results in about a 4.5-year payback, an 18% 10-year IRR, and a 3-year ROI or payback with the use of the EPA DERA grants, which we'll get into just a bit. Having a 4-year payback, having an IRR, these are very unusual circumstances in the alternative fuel and vehicle technology world. This makes this, from an economics perspective, a very strong candidate to compete in the school bus market. And not only do you have the economics, but you're also not forfeiting anything on the sustainability side. Actually, this provides excellent sustainability profile. You're reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 80% or over 80%. That's really 80 to 135%, depending on the use of the or the source of the renewable natural gas. The way we have it set up, our program puts the appliance in the hands of the fleet, and that's a very important point of distinction, because the RNG economics are realized and generated at the point of dispensing of the fuel. So if you think about the conventional world of clean energy, of Trillium, of Love's, those large retail CNG providers that are leveraging and using or providing renewable natural gas, they're the ones that have control over the economics. because that is where the fuel is being dispensed. In our configuration, in our platform, the fuel is being dispensed at the location of the fleet and by the fleet, and therefore those economics are completely available for the fleet, and that allows us, number one, to charge no incremental cost to you for the use of renewable natural gas, and in fact, we're able to negotiate for you a participation or sharing in RNG economics of about 18 cents per diesel gallon equivalent. That brings the total down to about 90 cents a gallon on the natural gas side. And then if you think about how many Demi NeuFuel school bus systems can be purchased, as we described in the last slide, which we said 26. That means the fleet, for the same cost equaling one electric bus, you can get 14 times the greenhouse gas emissions reduction benefit. So it is clearly outperforming the alternatives. So we covered the economics, we covered sustainability, and then is there any fleet compromise? To which there's a big no. There's no fleet compromise. This is ideally suited for school buses. School buses have significant downtime, and therefore they have time for fueling. These are dual fuel vehicles. They are running simultaneously a blend of diesel and renewable natural gas. And when the renewable natural gas is depleted, it runs 100% on diesel, and therefore there is no range anxiety. We try to find the right balance for the amount of fuel that can be held on board in terms of the renewable natural gas. And we try to set it for what we see as a typical daily route, or about 80 miles a day. We could do, if we have a bus or a school bus fleet that's operating significantly greater, it would justify and economically support putting on larger tanks. We want to find that right sweet spot so that we have a strong value proposition for the fleet. In terms of productivity, the overnight fueling supports the fleet logistics. Driver comes in every morning to a full tank of renewable natural gas and a full tank of diesel. There's also less downtime for diesel refueling. And there's no compromise in the performance of the vehicle, its functionality, its utility, its residual value, its lifespan. Probably it'll be a longer lifespan, since natural gas burns cleaner and burns cleaner than diesel or gasoline. And the observations that have been most noted by the drivers and by the school systems using it is an improved performance, a little bit more pep, and a quieter ride. In terms of how do these conversions happen? They could happen in one day. We take an existing diesel school bus fleet. We come to your facility, and at your facility in 24 hours, maybe it's 48 hours, we are converting your diesel school bus to integrate the Demi NeuFuel solution. There's also the installation of the appliance, which is also going on your facility where the buses are parked at night, which is also seamless. Here are some pictures or photos of the undercarriage. On the left, on the right is where the injection of the natural gas is coming in through the air system, and then in the bottom middle, you could see a close up of the fueling appliance. Just to level set and make sure we're all understanding of what the RNG, or renewable natural gas, is. It's coming from methane that's captured from agricultural facilities, landfill, wastewater treatment. We're capturing methane, we're cleaning and injecting it into the pipeline, which you can see on the bottom left. and then dispensing it at the point of the appliance. And this is a, a technologically available. It's used on a widespread basis commercially by fleets across the country. And you can see here, RNG comprised 64% of all natural gas vehicle fuel use in the U.S. in 2021. The other 46% is or 36% is straight conventional or fossil natural gas. Some of the so we've gone through the value proposition, giving you a background of the technology and who we are. But the question you're going to have is, who's using this? I'm sure this is something that you may have heard of, you may not have heard of. We're just building our commercial foundation to it, and right now we have pilot programs going on in South Carolina, in Texas, Colorado, Minnesota, Utah, Wyoming. An early pilot program in South Carolina. After 3 months, they committed to an additional 6 buses, and it complements our work on the gasoline vehicle side of our platform. And you can see Cobb County. That's Al Curtis in the bottom right, in front of their appliance. Al Curtis is a Fleet Hall of Fame inductee. And you can see that these are all relatively large, institutionalized or institutional type companies that we're very proud to have as customers of ours. And then we're on board and onboarding more. In Pennsylvania, we have already had good success with grant programs from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Our application had almost every natural gas utility in Pennsylvania participating, and we had a 28 vehicle, 10 fleet participation and award that was granted to us. So all very, a lot of good things going on, and we're very proud of it. William, are you on? Are you able to discuss the DERA funding opportunity?
Yes, Robert, can you hear me all right?
Yep, we hear you great.
Perfect. Well, Robert, thanks again for that introduction. I'm here to cover the US EPA DERA grant funding opportunity for 2023. Before I get started with this slide here, I would like to give a quick overview of the DERA program. Some of you may or may not be familiar with this program, so I'll give a quick background before I dive into this slide. The Diesel Emission Reduction Act, or DERA as it's known, is a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency program that provides grants and rebates to reduce harmful emissions from diesel engines. The program is designed to protect human health and improve air quality. The DERA program was originally authorized by the Energy Policy Act of 2005, and program activities really include retrofitting or replacing existing diesel engines, vehicles, and equipment, and also replacing and retrofitting older diesel school buses. That's really where it kind of ties into to our Ingevity NeuFuel platform. I'll dive into this specific slide here. This specific fiscal year, EPA is soliciting applications nationwide for projects that achieve significant reductions in diesel emissions aligned with its mission. That solicitation opened up in August of this year. So since August, Robert and I and our NeuFuel team, alongside with our partners at American CNG, have been promoting the DERA program as a way to reduce the amount of upfront cost that is associated with implementing this particular solution in fleet owners' fleets. EPA anticipates awarding approximately $57 million in this fiscal year. Again, that program has opened up as of August of this year. Some of the eligible projects, and I'll only be discussing how the EPA DERA program is applicable to our platform. Now, it is open to other additional alternatives. We can also share along with this particular PowerPoint the actual notice of funding opportunities that was released by EPA that kind of goes through each individual opportunities that are funded under this particular program. But for the time constraint that we have today and focusing on the specific NeuFuel, the Demi NeuFuel platform, I'll be specifically focusing on the eligibility criteria that we meet. Projects, again, under this particular criteria, may upgrade existing legacy diesel vehicles by installing or retrofitting an EPA certified alternative fuel conversion kit. Under this particular criteria, the Demi NeuFuel is applicable under this particular program, and it is eligible to submit an application under EPA's Region 3, which again, that's a more technical aspect of the application, but it only means that Pennsylvania is one of those states in the EPA Region 3, and we're partnering with Rick and the Pittsburgh Region Clean Cities to submit an application. We'll talk a little bit more about those details in the next slide. Eligible applicants include government agencies, nonprofits, school districts, cities, municipalities, and counties. There is a cost share specific to this, and again, it varies by technology and alternative vehicle fuel technology as well. So if you go through that notice of funding opportunity document, it lists the various matching requirements. For this particular entry, the cost sharing or match would be a 60% match, meaning that the fleet would have to contribute 60% of the cost, and 40% will come from the EPA DERA program. One keynote information here is that the applications are due December 1st, and we'll talk a little bit about the timeline in the next slide as well. The period of performance, if selected, the project period for awards is a 24-month up to 48 months, depending on some of the requirements. Will start as of July 2024 next year. Next slide, Rick.
There you go.
The application process. So this one covers the application process. The application will be submitted to the EPA Region 3 office. The max per applicant request would be $3.5 million, and that aligns with the criteria that is outlined in the notice of opportunity announcement. Applications can be submitted individually by the school district or aggregated with other school districts. So that's something that, again, we are working with Rick and also our team at American CNG to work with various school districts. So we have started a mass outreach to school districts in not only in EPA Region 3, but other regions where we are, as Robert had mentioned, where we're also working with individual school districts or third-party contractors. One thing to note here as well is that we are also working with third-party school bus contractors. So not only are we reaching out to the school districts to educate them on ways to participate in the on this year's EPA DERA program, but also we're also working directly with school bus contractors to inform them of this project so that we can cohesively submit an application that not only supported by the school district, but also in partnership with the school bus contractor that is supporting that school district. Rick, I don't know if you know the actual specific percentage, but I believe in Pennsylvania, 90% here in Western PA, 90% of the school districts are actually contracting out their school bus services and transportation needs out to third-party school bus contractors. So it's a very high number here in Pennsylvania, which is why we're working not only directly with our school districts, but also with third-party school bus contractors. Really what's required by the school district or the third-party contractor is just a few pieces of information. One is their intent to participate, and again, that could be verbal via a phone call, via email, via conversation. Later on, we'll need a full commitment via a letter of participation that we'll be sharing with those school districts and third-party contractors. So that's one piece of information that's really required by the to be submitted along with the application to EPA. The other is, again, identifying the vehicles. So that would include the VIN number for the participating vehicles, alongside a few other key pieces of information that are associated with that specific vehicle or school bus. That would be the school bus year, make, model, and annual miles driven. That information would also be submitted and be accounted into the data that is submitted over alongside the EPA application. As far as the timeline goes, again, the application opened in August of this year. The final date to submit any questions to EPA is November 10th. So if you have any questions that you either would like to submit directly to EPA or would like to ask, on our behalf regarding the Demi NeuFuel system, be more than happy to share that information with us and we can submit on your behalf. Friday, December 1st, again, is the application deadline. EPA and the DERA program administrators anticipate to send out notifications of selection by March of next year and anticipate awarding by June of next year. Just a little bit about the application, and Robert, feel free to jump in here, but we are, again, alongside Rick, we're going to be either submitting individual applications on behalf of school districts and third-party school bus contractors that are interested in participating alongside the NeuFuel team here. So that process, again, if you intend to participate in this program, please do reach out to myself. My email's down here below, and more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Robert?
Yeah, so just a couple of points. Thank you, William. That was all very helpful. In terms of the financial commitment, not to overstate it, it's really just a purchase order that's non-binding. It shows the exact the formal information to be integrated or included in the application. If there's anything that changes between now and then there's no it's not like anybody is held legally liable for that purchase order. There's no enforcement, but it does imply the degree of seriousness that the EPA would like to see. On the, as William said, it's for municipalities and school districts. While third parties are not eligible applicants, they would be participating in the application, with essentially the school district being the proxy and submitting the application and submitting the request for the DERA funding, and that would be incorporated or integrated with the third party relationship. As also William said, that we're preparing the application. Those first pilot programs that we're working on constitute a total of about 8,000 diesel school buses. So that's a good number of buses, and we expect there to be some degree of participation by some or all of those pilot program participants. And we hope you would join. The last piece is that if this is not something that you're ready for yet, we are offering no-cost pilot programs where we will provide the vehicle conversion kit and the appliance at no cost to the fleet, so that the school bus fleet can experience and evaluate the Demi NeuFuel system. And I think that's the end of our prepared remarks. If anybody's looking to get in touch with us, here's some of our information. William and I are both on here as well. And why don't we open it up for any questions?
Yeah, this is Rick Price. So just so everybody knows that the submission will normally end up going through if we continue by Pittsburgh Region Plain Cities, who is a nonprofit who is eligible to submit under this program. We'll be teaming with the NeuFuel folks as well on that submission.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And as part of that process, as William also suggested, we will basically provide you with a seamless and turnkey application, specific and customized to the characteristics and attributes of your own fleet, unless, of course, you handle these types of filings internally. We want to make it as easy for you as possible.
Yeah, and Robert, just as we're waiting for a few other questions, I think that's a very important remark that you just made. The fact that, again, some school districts have that skill set internally where they're able to apply these directly. Some other school districts don't have those skill sets or may not be aware of these programs, which is why we're promoting and doing this outreach through the Pittsburgh Region Clean Cities to get the message out there. Again, we are supplying a bulk of the application with only a few pieces of information that are really required by the school district and the third-party contractor to provide. But ultimately, it's a heavy lift that PRCC and the Ingevity NeuFuel team is taking on behalf of the customer and the school district and the third-party contractor. So it's a huge benefit to be able to participate under this program, since again we are taking a huge lift of the writing the application and putting the documentation together and submitting that on their behalf.
Yep.
So at this time, does anybody have any questions or that they would like to ask about the presentation while we have Bob and William on?
Kristen, I was just wondering, from start to finish, about how long does a conversion project normally take?
24 to 48 hours. So we have done these over a weekend. We have done these, during the week. But once we have everything there, we take the bus. Basically, we're tapping right into the air intake system, and probably the longest period of time takes the installation of the brackets that hold the renewable natural gas tank. We try to emphasize a quick turnaround, so we're not intruding on the or impeding any of the fleet's logistics, and not taking assets out of service. It also makes it easier because it's done at your facility, so we're able to do it on site as opposed to shipping the bus to a conversion to a facility that does conversions or vehicle conversions.
And Robert, you may also want to mention the maintenance support that we have locally here as well with our partners. You may want to mention who they are. And
both Williams in Western PA. That's one thing. I'm located in southeastern Pennsylvania, even though Ingevity is Charleston based. And Rick Lias, Lias Engineering in Denver, Pennsylvania, handles our maintenance and service work. So he's a great partner of ours and is always very proactive in supporting any issue that comes up.
And this is Marty from National Fuel Gas, and I can attest to that great support system. I work at National Fuel. I'm not sure where the other callers are from within the state of Pennsylvania, but I just want to let you know that if you're in the National Fuel Service Territory area, we are looking for a partner to pilot one of these school bus projects. We are very interested in that, and so there could be some besides the grant money that's available, there could be some financial input from our institution to further this study. We'd really like to do a couple pilots.
No, that's great, Marty. Thank you for that. I'm glad that you're having a good experience, and that Rick is, you're able to have Rick's, really experience Rick's and our efforts are that oriented towards customer service. We want to make sure everyone has 100% satisfaction experience with our vehicle platform and our technology, and we see it as critical as we as in the commercialization process.
And we had originally decided to get 2 pickup trucks for our operations centers, and actually got 2 more based on the availability and the ease, where we're seeing the effects for our environmental efforts and even the financial efforts of that national Fuel saving and having to buy.
Yep, that's great color. That's great color. I thank you for adding that.
Hey, Robert, you may also want to mention the work that we also provide on behalf of participating fleets under the pilot program. We provide a quarterly sustainability report and kind of talk through some of the anecdotes that we get as fleet owners are reviewing that information.
Yeah, I mean, every quarter we provide all of our fleets that are using our platform with a sustainability report. We share with them how much, which we track, how much renewable natural gas is being used, actually being used, and what the economic sustainability benefits are in terms of reduction in greenhouse gases. We also keep track of who could be using more, who's overperforming or outperforming the average, who's underperforming the average, and we're able to give good color to our fleets. When we typically provide this report, the typical response that we get from a fleet is, so what you're telling me is if I use renewable natural gas, this is what it would look like. And our response is no, Mr. or Mrs. Fleet Operator, you are using renewable natural gas. We are making that happen on your behalf behind the scenes. And this is the greenhouse gas sustainability performance that you're actually realizing. So we want to keep it as seamless administratively and as easy as possible for the fleet.
I have a question, Bob. So, this is just out of curiosity. So, how long does the bus run on RNG fuel? Like when we are switching from the diesel to the dual?
Oh, it'll go 80 miles on a dual fuel basis. Maybe in some situations it can go a bit longer. It all depends on the driving conditions, but we're getting about an average of 80 miles in range before it switches over automatically to 100% diesel.
Got it. And how expensive is it to maintain these buses?
There is no from the natural renewable natural gas perspective. There's no incremental cost for the maintenance. It is your typical service that's provided or that's conducted for these buses as straight diesel buses. Nothing changes in the protocol.
Okay, got it. That's actually good. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for the question.
Hey, Robert, another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was there anybody else that had another question? Well, my question, Robert, was related to the installation. I know you had mentioned that it could be done over a weekend. Is this something that the fleet owner could take over, could be instructed or could be trained on?
Yes, very good question. If for the first few pilot programs, we handle it completely. But if there's going to be a larger transition of the fleet to this platform, in order to expedite it and make it less intrusive to fleet operations, this is pretty straightforward stuff. That the in-house technical personnel of the school district or third-party school bus operator can be trained to handle this on their own or in combination with us, whatever the preference is.
All right. Well, Bob, if we don't have any more questions, I just wanted to let everybody know that thank everybody for participating, and we will post this webinar on our website, and it'll be available for those who were not able to attend today.
And thank you for everybody for your registering and participating. And you have our contact information. And if you need to or you can't find it, please reach out to us through Rick Price, and we'd welcome the opportunity to discuss this further with you, whether it's for the EPA DERA program or no cost pilot program. Both are to your benefit. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Bye.
a good day.
Thank you.